All right. Hi, everyone. We're going to wait around 1 minute until everyone joins. Zoom is a bit slow at letting in the people, and there's a lot of people waiting to get in. So I expect you to hear this message at least once more. We got a lot of people joining today. We've got record signups. And like I said, we're going to wait until 1 minute past to start so that everyone has a chance to join. All right, 15 seconds left. No, people are still joining. That's great, but let's get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Marcus from Hostaway, and I'm very happy to be here on the webinar together with our partner Vrbo. Last year, we did a webinar with Vrbo, and it was one of the most popular webinars we've ever done. And I'm very excited to have here some very senior staff members from Vrbo. Now, like I mentioned before, this time we have a record number of signups, and I think the main reason here is, first of all, you get a lot of information about Vrbo, how it can work with Hostaway, but most importantly, how to improve your performance. And there's a Q&A section here. We try to answer all the questions, and that's why it's worth staying until the end. The only wish I have for you is to use the Q&A function in Zoom. You should have a Q&A button. You can type in your questions there anytime. I think a lot of them will be answered during the presentation, which Vrbo is about to give. If that's the case, we'll mark them as answered, but don't hesitate to write again. And at the end of the webinar, we will have a time allotted to just answering your questions. So feel free to go ahead and ask as much as you can. Now, on this webinar, we got Carmela and Stephanie from Vrbo. They're both in Austin. And once again, my name is Marcus Rader. I'm the CEO at Hostaway. I'm currently doing this remotely from Warsaw, Poland. And now I'll hand over to Carmela.
Thank you, Marcus. I'm so excited to be here today. If you wouldn't mind going back one more slide, please. I just want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your day to hear about Hostaway and Vrbo and our partnership together, and to learn more about Vrbo's latest survey results on what travelers are looking for when booking their vacation. So as Marcus mentioned, I am Carmela, and I am Vrbo's evangelist and ombudsman. And what that means as Vrbo's evangelist is that I just educate and inspire our partners on all the great things that we're doing here at Vrbo. But more importantly, as your ombudsman, I listen to our partners, and I take their feedback on how we can become better partners to the company. So really, I am the voice of the partner. So if you wouldn't mind, Stephanie, next, if you would just do a quick introduction of yourself too.
Yes, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. So as Marcus mentioned, my name is Stephanie, and I wanted to start by thanking you, as Carmela did, for taking some time to join us today. I'm the associate manager on the Partner Success Market Development team. As our job as market development managers is to acquire high quality, family friendly, and in-demand properties and get them listed on Vrbo. So we're typically the first person you'll speak with, but we're just one portion of the Partner Success team. We also have our integration optimization team and our optimization account managers. So I'm really excited to dive a little bit deeper into who we are and what we do. But again, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. Our partner success team is absolutely amazing. They are really just a group of vacation rental experts on how to get the most out of your listings from Vrbo. All right, so on to the next slide, please. Before we actually get started with some of the content today, I do want to share some great news with you. And just in case you don't know, there are two ways that properties can show up on Vrbo. One of them is that you just list directly with us and you use our Vrbo dashboard tools. That means that you're manually updating your property descriptions, rates, availability, and that's how you manage your bookings. And then the other way properties show up on Vrbo is through a software integration. So using a company like Hostaway. That means that we pull information directly from your software to update your listing, so you're not manually entering information twice. And Hostaway has been an integration partner with us for a while. However, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate them on achieving elite status in our connectivity partner program. And that program recognizes and rewards our top connectivity providers for maintaining high quality connections that empower property managers like you to perform at their best on our marketplace. Now, to qualify for this status, a connectivity provider has to excel on several technical and performance metrics, such as implementing features in their software that travelers are searching for, things like high-speed Wi-Fi and enhanced cleaning protocols. We do a lot of research, and we are so passionate about creating an exceptional experience for travelers, and we're equally passionate about creating an exceptional experience for our partners. So we rely on connectivity providers like Hostaway to incorporate features into their software that appeal to Vrbo travelers. So that way, it makes it easier for you to update your listings, and really it's a win-win for everybody involved. They also have to provide a high quality connection to Vrbo that provides a reliable user experience that results in little to no downtime. So we have the latest and greatest of all the information. And then we ask our partners to engage with us continually to optimize tools and capabilities. So we listen to them just like we listen to our vacation rental partners. So for you, by choosing to work with an elite partner like Hostaway, you can be confident that a high quality connection that will empower you to perform at your best on our platform. Marcus, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
Thank you very much. I'm humbled here, and I wish I could take some credit, but honestly, it all goes to the product team, our customer success, and our tech support teams that constantly work with property managers to make sure they perform as good as they can. So it's a great thing to be an elite partner, and I just wanted to highlight the early adopters part here. Whenever we see an opportunity that requires us to work harder so that property managers can live a better life, then we never shun at that opportunity. We try to implement every opportunity to generate additional revenues and provide a better guest experience as fast as we can.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so back to our platform. On the next slide, I just want to take a little bit of a step back before I share with you our mission and what we're doing to derive demand to your properties. It's really been a challenging few years, y'all. And honestly, when I look back to March of 2020, we have come such a long way. One thing that has significantly changed is that vacation rentals have really become the mainstream of travel. Millions and millions of new travelers tried a vacation rental over the past couple of years. And what I'm really, really proud of is the way that we all work together to take care of the traveler. Our partners offered credits, and we gave them special recognition for doing the right thing. And we are so grateful for the continued great experiences that our partners have provided. So thank you for that. We also really want to build great products and facilitate connections between travelers and you. And we know that travelers have many choices on where and how to spend their vacation. And so we're here to help bring travelers to you through our platform using data-backed traveler insights and trends. So on the next slide, many of you have probably heard from us before, or perhaps you've caught on after seeing some of our marketing, that our primary travelers are families and groups. And a family doesn't have to be a relative. It can be any group of people you just want to spend time with. So our mission is to find every family the space they need to relax, reconnect, and enjoy precious time together. And families love us, and families love you too, and the properties that you offer. In fact, 85% of our travelers are traveling with a family or a large group. And I'll often hear from our partners that you love and prefer Vrbo travelers. On the next slide, I think one of the reasons why this is true is because Vrbo travelers stay longer and spend more than travelers on other types of accommodations. So I think that's a great reason. I think another reason why partners love Vrbo travelers is that we're obsessed with making Vrbo the best and most trusted vacation rental platform for families. And we think it's working. On the next slide, I just want to share some of the activities that's been going on the Vrbo site itself. in Q1, the demand was outpacing last summer by nearly 15% on the Vrbo site. And that's really pretty amazing when you think about it, because 2021 was pretty much a record year for most people. And then in the first half of 2022, so January through June, the Vrbo app was the most downloaded travel app in the United States. That's according to FocusWire. That's a lot of pockets and purses that Vrbo is running around in. So that's pretty exciting to see. We're also seeing that traveler confidence is back, as bookings on Vrbo are occurring 2 to 3 months earlier than they were before. And then they're also occurring further out. I've talked to a couple of partners who are getting requests for 2024, and they haven't even finished setting up their rates for 2023 yet. So that's a very strong signal that travel confidence is building. In addition to high demand, there's been a shift in traveler preferences. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see that price is no longer the #1 consideration when booking accommodations. It's now fallen third behind refunds and enhanced cleaning practices. This is great news, I think. But now I think there's a little bit more pressure to deliver against the value of the stay, especially when the return of more options for travel and accommodations. So, but it is good news that travelers are planning to spend more. If you go on to the next slide, you'll see that we did, as a result of our research, travelers were telling us, over half of the travelers told us that they plan to spend more on trips than they did prior to the pandemic. So there's still a lot of pent-up demand there, and travelers are planning to go big and explore new destinations.
I could maybe add there as well that, yeah, travel has been slightly different in the last 2 years. And as we've seen with a lot of our property managers, they have experienced massive returns. I mean, daily rates are up and occupancy rates are up. At the same time, they're getting a lot more bookings in the off seasons and the shoulder seasons, which I'm sure Vrbo has seen as well. But I just wanted to remind people that this is a long-term trend, because even though travel is back, it's not as easy as getting on a plane. In fact, getting on a plane might be practically impossible in many cases, because planes are canceled. And I liked how the previous slide there had a car, because that's what a lot of people are doing. And it's worth recognizing that our industry, vacation rentals, is also getting an entirely new appreciation. For example, in Ontario, in Canada, the government announced that they're going to give a tax cut to people who book a local vacation rental within Ontario, and I'm sure that's not the only place. So if you're getting a lot of guests who drive a few hours to get to your location, don't worry, they'll be there at least until the airlines can get their supply back. But that's going to take years. You know, if you keep, I read Emirates, they keep 100 A380 Airbuses, you know, the double deckers. They keep them in storage, and it will take them 1 year to get 40 of them back into action, because you can't just take out a plane of storage and get it flying. It needs to go through the same security checks as when it was initially produced, and that's a lot of man hours. So it will be a hassle to fly for many years to come, and this is all great news for the vacation rental sector.
Yeah, thanks for adding that, Marcus. I agree with you completely. We're seeing that there's still a lot of pent-up demand, and travelers are really planning to go big and explore new destinations. And on the Vrbo site itself, we're seeing that most travelers really are staying close to home, and they're taking shorter trips more frequently. As a matter of fact, in the first quarter of this year, 60% of our searches were for domestic travel within a 0 to 21 day search window. So overall, this is great news. Your properties are in high demand with quality travelers who are confident about travel, and they're willing to spend more. And if you go on the next slide, I just want to share with you, this is in one of our destinations in Pigeon Forge, where the average daily rate is up from last year. And so this is great. A lot of our popular summer destinations are practically sold out. And so we're just experiencing a lot of signals that travel is back despite the challenges that still exist. So on our next slide, I think, yep, cool. I just want to talk a little bit about what we're doing to inspire families to book your properties and how we're investing in your success. And the first one, I'm going to talk about trip boards and what we're doing as we invest in our traveler experience. So a trip board is a collaboration tool for travelers to save and share properties with members of their travel group. So they can comment and they can vote and ask questions and just really plan their entire vacation on our site. It's pretty cool. This gives us access to tremendous amounts of data that we use for future personalization. So it's super helpful. We're also making investments to improve the traveler experience by offering more payment options. We recently announced that we have PayPal and Affirm as available payment options. And then for those of you who do list on Vrbo and do so through an integration, we've improved the messaging for properties where we are not the merchant of record, telling travelers that they expect to see a message from a property manager, a trusted host from like you, and that your payments will be processed through them rather than through us. So that's pretty cool. When I talk about marketing, gosh, because vacation rentals did so well over the past few years and we're part of Expedia Group, I don't know if everybody knew that, we're able to make some significant investments in marketing. So this image is from Expedia's Super Bowl ad. Vrbo also had a pregame ad that was in there, which is pretty cool. We also dipped our toe into TikTok and had a nice little TikTok challenge that was super successful. And we really have just an amazing team of public relations, brand, social media, and marketing experts who work with celebrity influencers like John Legend. That's been my favorite commercial ever that Vrbo's done. And we use all the social channels to reach quality travelers along with our targeted remarketing. Just yesterday, I don't know if you read this, but we announced that we're the title sponsor of the Fiesta Bowl. That'll be in Arizona at the end of this year. And we're also working with HGTV to track a family who is searching for their perfect vacation rental to visit their daughter on the college campus. So we're being really creative and stepping outside of our box for lots of things. On the third one, you can look forward to some things in the future, such as cross-marketing across all the Expedia Group brands. So right now, I don't know if it's easy for you to see, but there's a whole bunch of little brands that are, they're all on their own technology stack. This is all part of Expedia Group, by the way. However, they address the same traveler. So me as Carmela, when I go on vacation, I book my airfare through Expedia and I book my vacation rental through Vrbo. But right now, as the traveler record, that's two separate travelers. And we think that we can clear up that picture and provide more visibility into that one traveler's needs, wants, preferences. So we're in the process of converging all that technology onto one platform, and that's going to result not only in many benefits for the traveler, but also for you. An example of the benefits for you will be features that other brands have that you don't get on Vrbo, and then benefits for the traveler will be an optimized shopping experience and loyalty programs that can be used across all the brands. So it's exciting. Things are happening now. We're just getting started with some more to come. So let's talk about next about what you can do to appeal to today's traveler. Okay, on the next slide, there are 4 easy things that you can focus on right now. We do a lot of research, and what I'm going to share with you now is a combination of activity that we see on the Vrbo marketplace and results from a few of our latest surveys. So the first is amenities. On Vrbo, travelers use an average of 7 amenities per search. Here are the top 5. This is across all of Vrbo. This varies wildly depending on your market. You can work with your partner success account manager to get specific for what's going on in your market. But the point here is just don't take anything for granted. You can have the most glowing description written, but it's not going to show up when the traveler uses one of those search amenities. If it's just in your description, it's not ticked off on your actual property listing. Kitchens, that really, I was kind of surprised about that, but since we had so many new vacation rental travelers come to Vrbo, they didn't understand that all vacation rentals have kitchens. So make sure you have that ticked off. For television, smart TVs with streaming services, Wi-Fi, I have that bolded here. It's super important, not only because you need it for smart TVs, but also flexible work and travel schedules are still happening. So as an Expedia Group employee working for Vrbo, we are still on a hybrid schedule where we go into the office some and we get to work from any other location for the rest of the week. It works for us. We have all been still very productive for that, and I expect there are other larger companies that will continue to do so. Parking. You know, one of the benefits of a vacation rental versus a hotel is that most time parking is free. And since travelers are sticking close to home, they're driving and they need a place to park their car. So make sure you are highlighting that. And then pets. Everybody got a COVID pet, right? So if you allow pets, that's great. Make sure to indicate it. If you don't, you might want to consider it because it can be an additional revenue stream for you. So if you're integrated with Vrbo through Hostaway, then you update the amenities in Hostaway. And if you list directly on the Vrbo platform, then you have to update these amenities in the Vrbo dashboard. So there's a big benefit of being integrated so that you're not updating this in multiple locations.
I can maybe add here on point 3, the high-speed internet, and it's something that for most property manager is completely free. It's completely free for you to send a message to the property owner and just ask them to upgrade the speed of the internet. I went to a cottage earlier this year and invited a couple of friends and families over, and turns out that not everyone was taking time off, or they had important things they had to do at work. Now, when you have 8 people connecting to the internet, some are streaming, some are watching videos, some are on conference calls, it really matters how much bandwidth you have. And so this is not just a checkbox in the software that you say you have high-speed internet. It's something that really has a massive impact on the guest experience. So if you have property owners who still have small bandwidth on their connections, make sure you check it next time when you go visit the property. Do a speed test. It should be at least 100 megs to ensure that that multiple people can use that at the same time.
Yeah, great point, Marcus. On the next slide, I'm going to talk about photos. So photos, images not only paint the picture of what your guest vacation will be like, but it also increases guest trust. So traveler trends show the more images you have in your listing, the higher conversion rate you'll have. So you can upload up to 50 images on Vrbo. We recommend having at least 30. On this slide, you'll see in North America that properties with more than 30 photos generate 63% of the revenue in bookings. So your market may be different. You can call your account manager and have them pull these details specific for your destination. But according to our research, it really pays off to spend time and money on quality photos for bedrooms, bathrooms, and gathering spaces. And I think I mentioned that cleanliness was super important to today's traveler, along with flexibility. And then when price fell to number 3, you can also highlight cleanliness in your photos. So show pictures of uncluttered spaces, really crisp bedding, and just things like that can instill traveler trust. And you know, all these tips I'm giving you are not just Vrbo tips. You can do this all on your own website. So take this and learn from it, but it is certainly backed by what's happening on our sites and by Vrbo's traveler preferences. Once again, if you're integrated, we pull photos from Hostaway so you don't have to load them in the dashboard and in your software. Okay, so for reviews now. We've known for a while how important reviews are when booking properties, but our research tells us that reviews are 40% more important today than prior to COVID. So in addition to learning about the level of service to expect from you, travelers are looking for an indication of cleanliness in reviews. We're also changing our review process to ask for this information when we send a review out to the travelers on your behalf. So on Vrbo, this is going to be some higher math I'm going to talk about here, so I'm going to try to talk slowly. On Vrbo, properties with more than 20 reviews generate almost 70% of the revenue, but only 40% of properties have 20 or more reviews. Okay, so that means that there's very few properties that have 20 or more reviews, and they're generating a lot of revenue. So do whatever you can to get those reviews, okay? You manage all those reviews on the Vrbo dashboard, the solicitation and the rating of the traveler and the responding to reviews. We at Vrbo are looking ways to improve the reviews management experience for property managers who update their listings via software. Okay. And then the last thing that I want to talk about, the fourth thing, is that flexibility really matters. We did multiple research studies over the past 2 years, and flexibility continually was the #1 thing that travelers valued when making a booking decision. Travelers are anxious to travel. COVID has not quite gone away. And then there's all those things that are impacting the travel industry just in general. Air travel still crazy. There's labor shortages, right? So travelers are still very anxious. But one of the best things that you can do is just to show empathy. According to a recent article from FocusWire, travelers place great stock in empathy. 71% of consumers said that companies that display empathy have earned their repeated business. I mean, honestly, travelers don't want to cancel their vacation, y'all. They really don't. So it does pay to be flexible if you can. I know it's hard. You have to protect your business. You have to protect your owner's income. But if there's anything I can do to help send that message to your owners, is just to be empathetic, and it will come back to you.
I'd like to highlight here two factors that are really important. First of all, the daily rates are up, and in certain areas they're up dramatically. Now, they don't go up overnight. It's not so that we were last summer and now all of a sudden we're in this summer. No, they creep up over time. The other aspect here is that people have uncertainty. And if you are able, one of the things people check when they are making a booking is, can they cancel it? But keep in mind that if you have a high rate, but you have a cancellation policy, a lot of people might see that as an option. So they might make a booking and their budgets are actually flexible, because when they imagine their dream vacation, they have a budget in mind. But what they don't want to happen is that they wait and suddenly the price of the vacation is double of that to their budget. But if they're able to make a reservation that they can cancel later, when ADRs are going up, the average daily rates, that means that they're buying a free option to stay. So even if you have a high rate and you get a booking, let's say 8 months in advance with a cancellation policy that's flexible, keep in mind that by the time when the guest has to choose whether they go on vacation or not, the prices might be double. So they're looking at it as if they're getting a 50% discount, even though they booked at a higher price. Now, you can only get those bookings if you have a flexible refund policy in the first place.
That's a great point, Marcus. Thank you so much for sharing that. So just as a quick recap on the next slide, here are 4 things that you can do right now. Update your amenities. You don't make any assumptions. Update everything to reflect the accuracy of what you have in your property. When it comes to photos, 30 seems to be a good magic number, right? Reviews, be relentless about soliciting and responding to reviews. And then flexibility and empathy. Like we said, we're not out of the weeds yet, and travelers will remember you and how you help them through a difficult time. All right, so next I'm going to turn this over to Stephanie.
Thank you so much. That's such great information. And I love the points you brought up, Marcus. Again, as I mentioned before, so my team as market development managers is to bring on high quality net new listings in high demand areas. But your success is our success. And as a partner success team, our goal overall is to help property managers grow their business and increase their revenue on Vrbo. So whether you're a net new partner or already connected with us, our goal is to help you become successful on Vrbo. So let's jump to the next slide. So we have a couple pillars under the partner success team. Again, we've got market development managers, we've got property optimization, and what they are going to do is a strong start call is a consultation for PMs new to Vrbo. So this would still be done by my team. We do strong starts. As you go live, we want to make sure that we're maximizing your production potential at go live. So about a week after you go live, we have a consultation with you. We optimize. I'll get into this a little bit more further down in my slides. We have market insights report and traveler trends. So as Carmela pointed out, a lot of that data that she had shown was from a travel trends report that typically comes out about once a year. We also have market insights, which I'll dive into a little bit deeper in some upcoming slides as well. And then of course, strategic advice on reviews, pricing, and more. We're here to help. We want you to be successful. We have our integration optimization team. Their job is to deliver holistic account level integration reviews for PMs. So they're identifying integration optimization opportunities for our property managers. This is something you can request at any time. So reach out to IPM support and request a consultation. And then we have IPM support, and they are not actually a part of the partner success team, but this is a huge benefit when listing via software. You have your own support line to connect with. They have great hours. They work in the office with me, so they're not outsourced. Most of them are in Austin with me. And very rarely will you see a hold time. I will say there's a little delay when reaching out via email, so I always recommend picking up the phone and calling. This way you get your answers to your questions right away. And then next slide. So the value of Vrbo, as you saw from Carmela, the exposure you get, the traveler types we have, and the demand we're seeing on our site should be reason enough to list. But what else? I think there's a huge misconception about Vrbo being in control of your rentals. With Vrbo, you are in control. You rent how you want. You control your pricing, calendars, cancellation policies, and more. You have more earning potential because your rentals are put in front of millions of travelers, including our expanded network of Expedia users. You have the possibility of being pulled into Expedia when you list on Vrbo. We have easy tools for integrated property managers. So for example, integrated means processing your own payments in your software. It means choosing between instant book and 24-hour review, customizable cancellation policies, and fully customizable rental agreements. And let's jump to the next slide. So listings connected to Vrbo via Hostaway are fully integrated accounts, what does this mean? It means all processes such as collecting traveler payments, updating calendars, updating rates, etc., are going to be managed in Hostaway. All of your content, meaning headlines, description, photos, are all changed and updated in Hostaway. So Hostaway is your primary source of record for your listings, which means you're only having to make changes in one place, and it will feed over to Vrbo and out to all of your other online travel agents. Process all traveler payments. So in Hostaway, you're going to be able to process all your own payments with the payment processor that you select, just as you would if they booked directly on your website. The benefits of this, you get paid immediately. You're in control of payments, no processing fees from Vrbo. You have the ability to choose payment processor, and Vrbo still backs the cancellation policy. I'm going to pass it off to Marcus to discuss some additional benefits, and then I'll jump back on.
Thank you. Just a comment there on the power of payments. That's something that a lot of our property managers have noticed after joining Vrbo, is that they're not only in full control of the entire payment process, including cancellation policies, but also in full control of security deposits and rental agreements, which gives them a lot of power because they don't have to negotiate with anyone. If the guest agrees to the terms, then that's what they pay. That's what's going to happen, and that brings, well, it's a huge stress relief factor for property managers. Yeah, so here's about our integration. First of all, the prices and availability will be synchronized in real time. What this actually means is that when a guest is making a reservation, Vrbo makes another request. They go back to Hostaway and say, is this really available and is this really the price? Which means that the guest will always get an up-to-date availability and price. We have 24-hour content synchronization. This is something that some of our users misunderstand, because the data is actually pulled from our system. What that means is when you add your photos, they're going to be live on Vrbo within 24 hours. But it's not instant. It's not the same second to save on bandwidth. Now, we can also help with the taxes. You can set them up and they're collected through Vrbo. We do support on Vrbo inquiries and a request to book. And you have a very clear overview in the dashboard of which properties are live, active, inactive in our dashboard. We have a lot of payment options and payment providers available. This is something that sets us aside from a lot of PMSs. And what we recently launched is electronic signatures. So your rental agreements that are crucial and vital to set the correct expectations for the guests and make sure nothing goes wrong, those are now included in the software. Also, this helps you improve the owner and the guest communication. We got automated messages and, of course, text message, WhatsApp, and smart look integrations But then the nice thing is that with Vrbo Connection, you get all the financial data into our system, which allows you to automate your owner statements and expense tracking. And we got a integrated reviews tool coming soon. One thing I wanted to mention here is that we have expanded our marketplace substantially. Now, today, we have the biggest marketplace in the vacation rental industry. So we've got over 100 verified partners. Now, I'm sure a couple of people in the audience, your startups, you're trying to enter the space, feel free to reach out, but do keep in mind that we verify each of these partners. If you find a company that provides a service that you could use on the Hostaway marketplace, you can trust that they are well-known, well-respected, they're doing it well. So unfortunately, there's a lot of companies that would like to be listed on our marketplace, but they can't because they need a critical mass. They need to be truly reliable partners so that we can go out and recommend these solutions to our customers.
Thank you, Marcus. Sorry, there we go. Okay. So now I'm going to finish my section about and talk about some of the amazing tools that we have that you can use while being connected to Vrbo. So we have Premier Host, Market Insights, Market Maker, Fast Start Program, Self-Service Onboarding, and Strong Starts. What does this all mean? Let's go to the next slide. So becoming a Premier Host, what are the benefits? You get a badge, you get a Premier Host badge on your listing, and it will show that you are a Premier Host. There's a Premier Host filter. So travelers can actually only, they can check mark that they only want to look for properties that are Premier Hosts. You have access to the Boost program, which improves search positions. This is going to be based on an account level. So as soon as one of your listings becomes a Premier Host, the entire account will be as well because we see you as a Premier Host at that point. And if we go to the next slide, you can see what eligibility is. So 4.3 or higher in review average, 90% or higher booking acceptance rate, 5% or lower owner initiated cancellation rate. Keep in mind that if a traveler reaches out to you and needs to cancel, make sure you're marking it in Hostaway that it was a traveler initiated cancellation because that won't affect your rankings. 3 or more guest reviews, and then 5 bookings, and that's supposed to say or 60 nights booked nights. So you can have 5 bookings or 60 booked nights if you have a long-term property. And let's jump to the next slide. Market Maker or Market Insights, I'm sorry. Some of this information actually Carmela had pulled into her individual slides, and this is a really cool report that we can pull. It's actually 10 pages long, and there's probably about a quarter delay in data just because it takes so much time to pull all the data, but you can see that it really breaks down, you know, property inventory by bedroom type. You can actually see average daily rates and days occupied by bedroom. You can see the increase, and this is going to be very specific to each market. So this is a report that we are able to pull for you for your specific market. It will talk about, again, the average daily rate. So we'll talk about seasonality, the occupancy rate by month, and some other instances, and we can go to the next slide. It talks about cancellation policies and what the top cancellation policies are. This is page 3 and 4 of it, and it shows you kind of the funnel of the searches to then page views to then booking requests, and you can see the increase in the funnel is how many people are searching for this specific area, how many people are actually clicking on the pages, and then how many are falling into an actual booking request. It shows the top searches by filters, meaning amenities. You can see for Galveston, it's going to be a pool. So knowing this information, you're going to have pool as your very first photo. You're going to have pool in your title, your headline. Anywhere where you can put pool, acknowledge that you have a pool because that's what people are looking for. And then again, it's the photo count that she had kind of already pulled and discussed. And then there's multiple other pages that have some just really great data to see. Next slide. And then we have Market Maker. So this is an online tool exclusive to our partners that delivers detailed market data to help you make informed rate decisions, improve performance, and build revenue. So if you see in the bottom right, you can actually see the rates, the average daily rates of booked properties and the average daily rates of unbooked properties. It can show you the amount of searches that happened last year at this time and the amount of searches that happened this year. So it's comparing those. It shows you the occupancy and then the forecasted occupancy. So people are actually able to use this data and see what their comps in the area are charging So if there's a week of festivals going on and we see that the occupancy is 50% and forecasted occupancy is another 40%, it's probably time that you raise your daily rates for that time period. Properties leveraging market maker insights at least twice in a quarter see on average a 7.5% increase in revenue, which is huge. You can see in the top left that this shows the comps, who we're actually comparing you to. So it will show a percentage. On this one, it says 82% match. So if for some reason you see that there is one that's a 50% match and it's an apartment and yours is a standalone house and there's 4 bedrooms on one and 3 bedrooms on the other, then you can actually remove that from your comp set. You know your market better than anyone. So we let you curate your comp set and add and remove properties as needed. When you choose to remove a property, we do ask why, and that's just giving us a signal as to why this property isn't a competitor, so we can update our models in the future. And then we'll go to next slide. The Fast Start program. We know cold starts are not easy and that new listings can take some time to create credibility until they get the first booking. The Fast Start program creates credibility for potential travelers to book by highlighting your current average property rating data from other sites when you add a new listing to Vrbo. The rating will appear on your new listing during the first 90 days of going live or until you get a review from Vrbo. You're also eligible for listings to appear higher in search results. This is going to be based per listing. So even if you're not a net new account, if you're adding on a new listing, it's going to still help you. It will show the tag of new to Vrbo, and then it will show the reviews below it from a different site. So very cool program to really help with that cold start. It's no longer a cold start. You have some reviews and you have some feedback. Let's jump to the next one. Self-service onboarding tool. This is going to be a tool that makes it very easy to make the connection with Hostaway. You can literally go through these steps and we can get you connected. So this is something that rolled out, and there's a link that I have actually on the end of this webinar, and you can go through the steps and you can get live with Vrbo. So self-service onboarding, just to make it a little bit easier. Okay, the next one. And then strong start consultations. So again, this specifically is done by my team, and it's going to be to walk you through your completed listing. You've gone live. We're discussing ideas that other successful property managers have adopted. We're offering recommendations to help you generate more exposure and bookings. If you're a property manager that is already listing on Vrbo and already has connection with Hostaway, this is where an integration optimization consult would be beneficial. Let's go to the next slide. So integrating with Vrbo, this is our PM sales inquiry email address. If you are net new and you're looking to connect, please reach out to us there. You can also visit the self-service onboarding and try and walk through those steps as well. I know some of you are connected to Vrbo via another software or connected directly to our platform, and you're looking to now be connected via Hostaway, which is wonderful news. They're elite. They're a great software. You may have heard that there have been delays in getting listings live on our site, and I'd like to address that here. We're aggressively working to significantly increase capacity by the end of quarter. We have doubled the size of our onboarding team and continuing to grow that. We understand this can be frustrating, and again, we are working aggressively to get you all live. So thanks again all, and I'm going to pass it back to Carmela.
Thanks so much, Stephanie. Great information to share on there. And I have to say that really our partner success team has just access to tremendous amounts of data that they can share with you specifically about your market. I really can't emphasize enough all the information that we have. It's actually kind of overwhelming to skinny it down to figure out what it is that we're supposed to be talking about. One thing I do want to address, I've seen some questions from like Hillary and from Connor asking who their account manager is. If you list on Vrbo, why don't you just reach out to me and I'll connect you with your account manager, and that's cgillenwater@expediagroup.com. I did put it in the questions responses, but I'm happy to connect you with your account manager. Also, I just want to do a quick little summary about what we talked about. First of all, travel is back. Remember, price is no longer at the top spot when travelers are making their booking decisions. Full refunds and enhanced cleaning practices are number 1 and number 2. Price is number 3. Travelers are planning to go big. They want to spend more than they did on their vacation. And they're looking to spend more than they did prior to the pandemic. And right now they're sticking close to home and taking shorter, more frequent trips. Travelers are prioritizing flexibility, great photos, amenities, and positive reviews. When we talked about amenities, don't take anything for granted. Photos, have more than 30 photos, be relentless about reviews. Flexibility does matter, so remember to show empathy. And then we are here and we're ready to support you. We're just getting started with programs and insights and tools to support your business growth. Things like trip boards, marketing. You can look forward to traveler loyalty programs, more marketing and more features as we continue to converge our technology. One thing I do want to mention about reviews, there's been a lot of questions I've seen come up in reviews, and that is that we do have a reviews API, and we're working to improve that API. Actually, I think Hostaway was part of our a focus group that we had earlier this year, where we said, okay, let's bring in our connectivity providers, our software partners, and let's bring in some of our partners, and let's talk about how reviews really should work for partners who use software. Where is it that you want to see the reviews? How do you want to manage them? So I don't have a time commitment to give you, but I do know it is a top priority for us and that we are working for it.
Same here. Like I said earlier, we always want to implement the latest features when they come out. So we'll be one of the first tools to announce that. Sorry to interrupt. I just noticed a lot of people are asking about a recording of this webinar. Yes, this is being recorded and we'll post on YouTube. You'll probably get an email as well after the webinar is finished. Just a brief reminder, please put your questions in the QA section of oh, we're getting to QA now. So yeah, I guess I already answered the question on whether this will be recorded or not. But yeah, we can move on to questions here. So let's see. We put in some answers. We put in some answers in text format. We also already answered 33 questions. Now there's still a few questions here about how to schedule or how to reach out to the Vrbo team. So
right.
Yeah, so Carmela, maybe you could repeat the contact details.
Absolutely. So if you don't know who your account manager is, you can reach out directly to me. That's C Gillenwater, C as in car, GILLENWATER, so C Gillenwater, at expediagroup.com. And I can find out who your account manager is.
All right, so then I see there's some questions, especially for Don, that are quite specific to his account with Hostaway. There's one technical question here, or maybe functional question for Vrbo. I'm not sure if you're able to answer it, but Angela is asking on the reviews. It would be helpful if the reviews would separate the vacation property itself from the entire resort. I was wondering if that's something that you know about, or something that you can share your thoughts about.
I don't have a good answer for you, I guess is going to be my honest answer. But I do know that reviews are so important, and that we can't control what the traveler is, or what the guest is typing, right? And what they choose to say in the review. And so I think that's a great suggestion for us to try to filter out whether or not they're talking about the resort itself, or whether they're talking about the property, or whether they're talking about the property manager. I don't know if we've actually invested in that technology, but I'll take that feedback back to our product teams.
All right, thanks a lot. And Angela here pointed out that it's a great way to provide that empathy if someone needs to cancel, to offer them instead a future credit for future use. And that's something that we've seen used time and time again. So thanks, Angela, for bringing that up. Now we have here Also on the line, we got Steve from Vrbo. I wanted to ask, he was answering a few of the more technical questions. I wanted to ask if you saw any themes here.
Yeah, I think a couple of the themes are, how can we do better? So kind of getting to the point, we want to help. Reach out through Stephanie. She mentioned Carmela is definitely amazing gatekeeper. She'll direct you where you need to go to win here at Vrbo, but it is kind of like, what are you supposed to do? So the key is knowing a little bit of what you're looking for, but overall optimization, I would say reach out to Stephanie, your account manager, or through IPM support. They'll direct you to where I am on my team, integration optimization. We will see what areas in Hostaway might be not utilized and kind of squeeze that Hostaway software to do the best it can, and then squeeze the Vrbo software. So definitely it's a partnership, but we want to shrink the gap and help you managers because you don't know all the ins and outs, and that's why we're here to help.
All right, thanks for sharing. I can see that Bob has a question here. He's found it difficult to get complete the survey for the review. He's tried multiple requests and reminders. Maybe someone on the Vrbo team would like to address that, but I can also share that a large part of that review starts already way before you ask a review. It's about having a good communication with the guest before they arrive, especially the closer you get to their arrival, then once they arrive and after they've arrived, to check up on them if everything's good, and you can already get a sense of what kind of review they want to leave, or if they're going to leave a review, depending on how they answer those questions. So Bob, I'd work on checking, someone books 8 months in advance, are you in touch with them at all until it's time to check in? And then if they're staying, let's say for a week, are you in touch with them to see if there's something that can make them feel as if there's an ongoing dialogue?
Yeah, so I can add some context here. I work with some of the best property managers across the United States, and their best practices have always been to stay in touch with the guests from the moment they book to after they leave, right? And tell them ahead of time that you want to get a 5-star review from them. There's nothing wrong with just being out there and saying, hey, this is my standard, and I'm hoping to get a 5-star review from you. So once they check in, you check in with them prior to their departure. I would say the day of arrival or the day after arrival. Hey, just wanted to check in with you, make sure that things are going great. I'm still working on that 5-star review from you. And then, once again, right before they leave, hey, I hope your stay was great. I didn't hear from you. I'm assuming I'm going to get that 5-star review from you, right? And then once they leave and they get the review, there's more hope that they're filling it out. I am not going to, and I'm not sure if I'm telling the entire truth when I say this, but I think that, and maybe Stephanie or Steve can back me up on the reviews process that HomeAway goes through and the number of times that they send a review out. I think it's 3, and I'm not for sure. And I know that if you rate the traveler, that it will send them another request for them to actually say, hey, send a review. Your host has just reviewed you. Send a review so that it's reciprocated. Did I say that right, Stephanie or Steve?
Yeah, you nailed it, Carmela. And extra, kudos to you for that. But just what Carmela said is gold. Making that initial touch with them is so valuable as a property manager, that personal interaction. Because yes, Vrbo will send them reminders and they're automated and those can get lost. But you send in a personal note, you have their attention, like, whoa, what's going on? Oh, you're just thanking me. That's amazing. That's way better than automation.
Exactly. I see a couple of questions about importing reviews. Someone is asking if we can import Vrbo reviews to show on the Hostaway website. No, that's probably something that won't come, but I can say that we are working on implementing reviews on our own website. Someone else also asked about the Fast Start project and whether they'll be able to import Airbnb reviews onto Vrbo. As far as I understood, it would only be for reviews on your own website, but perhaps Vrbo can elaborate on the Fast Start project.
Yeah, the Fast Start program is to pull reviews from other sites. Now, I will say it's only going to be offered for when you are net new and within the first 90 days. It typically takes, once you get an account or a listing live, it typically takes, I think it's 14 days to actually get that information pulled over, and it will only stay on there for 90 days, or the first Vrbo review will kind of kick it off. But it is going to be pulled from other websites.
All right, thanks for that. Then I see there's still, I think we addressed it already, but there's a lot of questions about integrating Vrbo and also getting online with Hostaway. Just as you see how the airlines are struggling, whenever there's a lot of demand, things move a bit slower. And I think the Vrbo team has been doing a great job on making sure that property managers can get live as fast as possible. And likewise, on behalf of Hostaway, I can tell you we've had a tremendous rush from property managers to start using Hostaway over the last 18 months or so. And as a result of that, we have been hiring and training as fast as we can. But if you feel you're not getting enough attention from us, you can always reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. Just type in Marcus Hostaway LinkedIn on Google and you'll find me. Or write a message to support@hostaway.com. We'll do everything we can to accommodate. We understand that you're anxious to get started. There's one question here from David. Is there a generic link that they can send to the guest to direct them to the page to leave a review? Maybe you could walk us through a bit. How does Vrbo actually collect reviews? As far as I know, the request to review comes from Vrbo as well.
Yeah, it's the best way of explaining it. It's embedded within the Vrbo system and design. So there's not a specific link that you can send to somebody, hey, please review me. It comes through the booking, through the software. It goes to that traveler's email. So as they book through Vrbo, that email that they used is recorded in our system, and then our system sends it to that email.
That you can still communicate with the guest and ask them to check their email for a request from Vrbo to fill out a review.
See, that's an example of the personal touch with Carmela. It's amazing.
All right, I think that's it. I see there's a couple of questions here that are probably better directed at proper integration support at Vrbo or the technical support at Hostaway. You can reach us at support@hostaway.com. Thank you very much, Carmela and Stephanie, for joining us. It's been great hosting this, and as we can see from the record number of participants and over 56 answered questions, there certainly was a high demand from this. Any final words from Vrbo? What can we expect in the future?
Oh, I just want to say thank you so much for being such a great partner with us, Marcus. And you and your team are amazing to work with. Thank you all for sharing your time with us. I know that you guys are all very busy, and it means a lot that you're here, and hopefully you got some great information from us. And please reach out if you have any questions.
And I second that. Thank you very much for joining. It was great being able to go through our top tips and tricks, and yes, absolutely reach out as needed. That PM sales inquiry at expediagroup.com is a good email, as well as Carmela's. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Bye.